Okay, I'm going to jump in and make a start. Welcome everybody to our second Women in Tech webinar. And it's so great to see so many attendees again today. We'd love to know where everybody is from and where everybody is joining. So if you'd like to, please drop a note into the chat and just let us know where you've logged in from today and say hi. So just a few bits of introduction points first before I head over to our incredible guest speakers. My name is Rebecca Lauder-Fletcher, and I'm the head of marketing at Source Group International. And we launched SuperWomen in Tech earlier this year with the purpose to address the gender gap and promote diversity within the fields of technology. And basically, we want to celebrate how brilliant females are. So our overall aim from our monthly webinars is to build a supportive ecosystem that empowers everyone and breaks down barriers and fosters an inclusive environment. And our topic today is all about unleashing the power of diverse teams. And as I mentioned, I'm joined by an absolutely incredible guest panel ready to explore their experiences and deliver their advice on scaling tech teams. Just a quick bit of information around SGI, Source Group International. We are a global technology recruitment business, and we source talented technology people from ambitious businesses, from SMEs through to major multinational organizations. So anyone on the call today, if you are interested about talking about your career or how to grow and build your tech team, then we'll be sending out some information about how to get in touch with our expert recruiters after the event. Bit of housekeeping as well. After the main session, we will have a question and answer session. So anyone that does have a question for our speakers, you're more than welcome to drop it in the Q&A box, and we'll pick it up in the last part of the webinar. But without further ado, let me introduce our guest speakers. I am joined by Harpreet Dulai, who's a digital transformation expert, and Semen Arslan, a senior product manager at Metro.Digital. Welcome. Thank you so much both for joining. We'd like to do a bit of introductions over to Semen first.
Okay, so I can give some summary about my background. Actually, I started my career as a Linux developer in Turkey. We had an open source community from all around the world, and I was also responsible about the tester community. So there were a lot of people from all around the world, and we were talking continuously about the test challenges. And in the meantime, I also joined as a mentor in Google Code Mentorship. And also I work with an Indian team member. It was also good to see different people outside my country. I continue my career as a Java full stack developer, and my team had a lot of women, which was interesting, and half of our team actually was women, and I enjoyed a lot. We had lots of creative things, and we improved a lot the culture and also the product during that time. And when I am working as full stack developer, I also learned the agile methodologies, and I like them very much. And I became an enthusiast of it, agile and agile metrics, product metrics, every kind of stuff. And I became a Scrum Master in a different company afterwards. And I jumped on the scaling teams. I will talk about later in detail about those. So I became Scrum Master and Agile Coach, and we did a lot with my colleagues and with my upper managers. And on my previous company, I became a senior technical product manager, and it was from the aviation area, General Electric. And my last company actually is in e-commerce. So I am doing right now senior product management there, and again dealing with scaling teams and creating new teams. So. And I am living in Berlin. I forgot to say it.
Thank you so much. Well, an incredible career, and really looking forward to hearing more about scaling teams later on in the session with you, Semen. Over to yourself, Harpreet.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be on this. So for me, my experience started in university. So I did computer forensics and security in university. So again, close to Semen's experience with being technical, and then came into the working world in more of the Microsoft era, in the Microsoft world, and then transitioned across technologies into a CRM space called Salesforce. And then kind of started off at the bottom of the chain, if you will, as an admin, and worked into then going into consulting, solution architecting, and with my most recent role as global go-to-market. And so I wore very many hats along the way, multifaceted, as you will. And yeah, it's been challenging. And unfortunately for me, I think my experiences compared to Semen, I was always the minority when it came to diverse teams, whether that being gender or ethnicity. So I think with my history just growing up, I was quite used to being the minority, so it wasn't so much of a big gap or it being something I wasn't quite used to. But again, as we talk today and the topics we touch on today, it's not something that should be going forward. And I think it's the gap that we definitely need to close.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you, and wonderful to meet you as well. Harpreet, you've just kind of actually raised on a really brilliant point actually to go to our next question for you both. And that is around any stigmas, or what has your experience been like as a diverse worker, and how have you come about any challenges or handled challenges in your careers? So I guess it would be natural to head over to Harpreet first, as you just picked up on that.
Yeah, of course. So I'll go all the way back to my childhood, even in school. So I was, again, the minority, with being the only ethnic one in the school. And then going into secondary school, going into college, I did a IT course in college, and I was one of two females. And then going into university, I was one of two females on the course as well. So it was, as I was going through the education system, I kind of looked around and was like, okay, this is maybe how it's going to be for a while. So it's kind of sit tight, get comfortable with the environment, and learn how to maneuver, and don't let that be the setback. Because at the end of the day, what we need to understand or get used to is that we're all humans. Yes, there are differences in gender, and biologically women and men, they differ. But when it comes to the working world, we are humans, and we can still do the same things as men can. But it might just be that we struggle with confidence to push forward, where men would just take the risk and move forward, even if we have the same level of experiences. So for me, I think I was very comfortable with being the minority, and so I didn't let the stigma or the stereotypes set me back. I think that's one big thing for me. And I think I had a good mentorship, leadership going through my career, with that being females or being team members or advocates of having a diverse team.
Yeah.
I don't know, Semen, if your experiences differ.
Oh, actually, I said that we have in my career for the first time, actually, I had this kind of team with half woman and half men. This was only the first time, and it didn't happen again. And now I am the only woman in my team, for example. So this is always happening. We are always have the minority, and we have a lot of challenges to make us visible. Actually, that's why it's always again my challenge, like you. But maybe I am a little bit lucky because I worked so many times with women leaders, and they helped me a lot.
Yeah.
They were amazing women, and they helped me a lot about my career path, actually. So I cannot say I'm directly promoted to some areas. So I became first a kind of junior developer, and then I became senior QA engineer, and then I became a senior Java full stack developer, and then I became Scrum Master and Agile coach, and then product release manager. So actually, I'm thinking that the career path is not like a ladder; it's like a tree. Actually, I also read the book, Leaning book, actually, from Sheryl Sandberg wrote it, who is the chief operations officer right now in Meta, and it helped me a lot because I was thinking that I was ruining my career and nobody helping me about this. I was jumping from one area to other area where I found myself safe and confident.
Mm-hmm.
And after reading that book, actually, I felt relaxed, and I am doing right now the similar things. Yeah, I am feeling that it's a tree. It's not a ladder. You shouldn't go one. You don't have one path. You have multiple paths, and where are you feeling safe? You should go in this way to go to your final road.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good. Thank you both. I've scribbled down Lean In. I always get recommended to read that. I definitely need to jump in and do that. So
Definitely,
sure, thank
definitely,
you.
you should read.
Yeah, I'm really, really interested in that. So jumping into our next set of questions, Harpreet, head to yourself first. It's around stereotypes of tech workers or tech talent. And do you think certain stereotypes of tech talent affect diverse candidates getting into the industry?
Well, I kind of want to touch on what diversity is to begin with.
Brilliant.
Because I feel like there's a lot of stigma around it just being gender focused or it just being ethnicity focused. But it's really around supporting, as well as genders and ethnicities, but different races, religions, sexual orientations, abilities. And I think the more we think about that, then we start to realize why we need to be diverse. And especially in the tech culture, because budgets are getting tighter, customers' expectations are getting higher. So consumers are looking for specific and diverse needs, or needs and preferences to be met. So with that, if you've got a diverse team, it helps to bring creativity, problem solving, innovation. So I think just thinking about that in a bubble, I would say that it can be, I wouldn't necessarily say that certain stereotypes affect candidates from getting into the industry. I think maybe people, but not stereotypes, because some people might recruit similar to themselves, but other people might look at what they're lacking in their teams and go out in search for those particular skill sets. And I think because, for instance, even if we rally off some statistics, 1 in 4 tech workers identified as ethnic minority, and 13% are in senior roles. So if those 13% are educating internally. So other employees or other employers are learning from them. They can go out and build out their own diverse teams, as well as those 13% in the senior roles are hiring. So I think it's all just a piece of education, awareness, things like this, doing panels, doing talks, doing reading, understanding that there is a lot to offer when you make your team diverse, as I suggested before. But I wouldn't put it down to stereotypes at all.
No, sure. And Semen, did you want to jump in and join in with that conversation or make comments there?
Yeah, maybe a little bit for the stereotypes. Yeah, definitely we are facing these kind of stereotypes when we are trying to get the work or get a position. So mansplaining can affect us a lot. Time to time, I also face these kind of situations while recruitment processes. So yeah, it happened in Turkey a lot actually, because even the HR wasn't know about these kind of things. They were asking if I will marry it in 2 years. They are asking they ask this kind of questions actually, or I will have child, or I have a long relationship, and these kind of questions they ask. So it was incredible. So I'm giving these examples directly, but it's happening a lot in Turkey because they are not believing in women, and they are not. Yeah, I mean, I didn't work in these kind of companies. I selected my companies very, very. I was really selective, I can say. All my companies wasn't like that, but during the recruitment process of some companies, I really ashamed.
Yeah, that's awful. I mean, I will say about mansplaining, rather than in just recruitment, I've experienced it actually in the workplace. So I always feel when I've gone out there to look for jobs personally, there is more of an open arm. And especially when I've recruited for internal resources, that I look for skill sets rather than gender or ethnicity. But for that example, Semen, I think that's not stopping anytime soon, unfortunately, with mansplaining.
Sure. And moving on to our next question, it's around communities and those communities that exist that can help talent from diverse backgrounds get into tech. So I'll point this at you both as well. So are you familiar with any of these communities, and how would talent go about finding them and recognizing communities they can go to get them their next foot through the door for tech? I think there we go. If I head to Semen first for that question.
Actually, I already mentioned in the chat channel, this is leaning community, because after I read the book, I also joined that community, but I'm not really effective person, I can say, but it's a good community, I think, for these kind of discussions, and to have mentors. And in Turkey also, there are some communities, but they are not open to the world as far as I know. Yeah, so leaning, I can say.
Amazing, thank you. And Harpreet, have you got experience of
yes
communities?
So there's communities like She Can Code, and on their website they have job posts, and they regularly do events as well. There's We Are Women in Tech, I think. There's one that I personally attend, which has been a tremendous support for me, and it's LMF community, so like-minded female community. And with that, what we typically do, the founder hosts breakfast once a month, and females have breakfast, and they're all from different working spaces. So that's an opportunity for people to get together face to face, because I think that's nice after the pandemic and lockdown, which we don't do enough of. And build a network, a cohort, and share experiences. And there's been sessions where people have brought in their CVs and they've all had feedback from other females, job offers. So yeah, I think those communities are really important.
Yeah, that's it. What you just said about the face-to-face interaction is so important, isn't it? And we know we're sat here on a virtual setup, but hopefully in the near future, Superwomen in Tech, we'll get in person. We'll have everyone in the same room, which would be brilliant. But yeah, it really is something about that. I love that, the fact that you've gone in with CVs, having that breakfast, that social interaction, as well as that professional development. That's
exactly.
really cool.
And we've built friendships from it. So there's a few of us that stay in contact and we regularly meet up. So it's not just building that, it's actually building friendships.
Yeah, brilliant. Really, really cool. Thank you. I've noted those too. I've got a lot of research to do after this session now. So that's great. So moving into our next kind of section, it's around building confidence. So again, directed at you both. What are some ways we can build confidence into new tech talent during their first stages of their new role? I'm not sure who would like to jump in and answer that question first.
If you want, I can jump in that area. So building mutual trust from the first day, I think it's very important. We should be honest to each other as a manager and as a new tech worker, I would say. And in order to have it, you need to be honest always, and you need to share your open opinion. But you should be also political to give when you are giving the feedback. You should give the constructive feedback to unlock the intrinsic motivator of the tech worker, because technical people or developers are generally has intrinsic motivators. That's why you need to understand their aim and how they want to help the company and themselves. And afterwards, if you understand it, you can get the power of the developer or tech worker, let's say, and immediately they are increasing their confidence afterwards, because they are saying that, hey, I am feeling safe here and I can do a lot. So these things are working always, I can say.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think there's a few things with that. You've got the job for a reason. So you need to make sure that you're not sabotaging yourself and saying you're not enough to be in that role. I think just in general, people will be apprehensive in their probation period or the starting new roles anyway. So I think it's really key to keep up communication with your line manager. To Semen's point, be honest, and make sure you have regular check-ins with them to understand if you're on the right path. And if you're not, accepting the feedback and show willing and show that you're adapting your approach by your actions. I think that's really key as well, because if you're going in and you're being proactive to your line manager and you're saying, okay, give me feedback, what am I doing well, what can be improved, then you're showing that you're open to learning, that you're open to growing, and there isn't an ego assigned to you being in that role. I think that's really important.
Yeah. That's really, really good point. And it almost refers back to said in your introduction. I think sometimes an individual can hold it to themselves that they want to be perfect, for example, or there are no problems or challenges surrounding them, but actually opening up and breaking down the barriers that you create yourself. and stripping back a layer and saying, actually, I need to be honest, or I need to be honest with those around me, especially those in working environment or my peers or my leadership.
Yeah.
And actually that takes you further than it does by holding back. And that's, yeah, really, really, really key. Like that. Really, really good. Thank you. Okay, so moving in to our next section is around scaling teams. So Semen, when it comes to scaling a successful team, what is your perspective or approach, and what level of autonomy should be given to hiring managers is our first question.
Okay, yeah, keeping core values and building a culture on top of this is the main concern, I think, for scaling a successful team. I had experiences in my past career as I was an agile coach. Actually, we started one team, and then we also did coaching and also trainings continuously to understand the current core values and we built up a culture actually at the end with 9 teams. So it was an incredible work, let's say, to also did the agile transformation at the same time, because agile also has some values, but you should understand also company values, and you should combine both of them to create the successful culture and team for further points. And hiring managers, I think, should have the autonomy, full autonomy, to select the people in terms of company culture and beside the technical excellence. So you should give them the full autonomy to select the best candidate. Otherwise, you might face lots of conflicts if the person that you hire is not fitting the company culture. You might face lots of conflicts. That's why you should understand it first during the hiring process. Of course, you can also resolve the conflicts, but if there are some extremes between the company and the people or the person that you hire, the conflicts will be incredible. So, for example, if you have core values like collaboration, excellence, or innovation, and if the people has extremes in certainty and one-man show, so there is no way, if it's he or she an extreme person, there's no way to resolve the conflicts. At the end, the company and the people will get in a bad situation, let's say. So the coaching, hiring the first part, coaching and continuous learning, the best way to have successful teams and scaling teams, I think.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you for those answers, really insightful. And Harpreet, did you have anything to add to that?
I think Semen hit the nail on the head, to be honest. I think it's important to make sure that when you're hiring, that each of those candidates are going to fit into the company culture and they align with those values. I think that's a huge checkbox. It's a green flag if the candidate does. And making sure that they're diverse, because again, it's all about collaborating, bringing new skill sets, bringing new ideas, innovation, and you can only do that when you have your diverse team. I think in terms of autonomy, and it is important that the hiring managers also get second opinions, because if they are the manager that are hiring for a big team, it might go back to our earlier point where they get comfortable with hiring the same kind of candidates. So I think it's important that they get second opinions to ensure that it is diverse.
Of course, great, thank you. And just the next question within scaling your teams is, what would your strategy be for scaling into new regions or locations when putting a team together? Semen, if we head over to yourself first.
Okay, so I had some experiences about creating teams in different regions, actually. So once I had a team in Turkey, and we were doing a handover from USA and also from India. So it was really challenging in terms of time zone and in terms of different diverse groups. All have different culture, actually, India, Turkey, and the USA, I would say. So we knew our culture, but we didn't knew the other countries, other country companies' culture, actually. That's why we first understood what they are aiming for and what they are giving importance. Which areas are they giving importance, actually? And afterwards, we try to have a balance between these regions, actually, because core values, we know, are not changing rapidly. So, but if there's a region that is different, which is different than your culture, you should have the balance. That's why it is really important to create a learning culture, adapting culture. Yeah. You should foster conferences, fuck-up sessions, or feedback sessions, or congratulation sessions between these teams, and in this way you can able to create a collaborative environment and open and share culture. And if you have this kind of environment, you can scale up anywhere, I would say. So at the end, we achieved it, but it was really challenging.
Yeah, that's creating a culture of learning, I think, is so key, especially to the modern workforce or current workforce and moving into kind of the next generation. We're constantly looking to build our knowledge from many different directions and platforms. So that's really, really key point to take away. Thank you. And Harpreet, again, back to yourself. Did you want to add anything to that?
No, I agree. I think staying with your core value set goes everywhere with you. Region, location. I think it's important if, say, for instance, with my experience in the consulting world, if you are looking to branch out in a specific country, it is also important to make sure you are hiring within that country, because the people that live there understand the culture and the customers, so they can better serve the customers and connect with them. Obviously, there are reasons for then having remote workers in different countries, but I think having your core team in those locations is key.
Yeah, incredible. Thank you. So we've reached our last question in this section of the event, and this is around the generations of new tech talents coming through to the workplace. So what do you feel is changing, and what are the defining factors when it comes to hiring and nurturing new talent within teams? Harpreet, if we jump over to yourself first, questions guided towards both of you.
So I think we all know what the buzz is at the moment. The trend is AI. So that's, I mean, personally, I think I've used ChatGPT once, and that's just because I'm determined to not let AI take over my working world. But I think it's great for the newer generation, because they keep up to speed with what's going on and the new trends. And I think the thing is they are quick learners. They've got so much energy, resilience, and can be agile. I think the only thing with that is years of experience, and I'm going to be biased just because I am one of those quick thinkers, and I like to just run up my role. And so for me, I've learned a lot in a short amount of time. So I think that doesn't typically stay true in terms of you need to have X amount of years of experience to be credible for the role. I think, but one thing I can say, and this is based on now being in a position where I've had the learning curves, and obviously we are still learning, but I've had huge ones prior. And it's more around being strategic with your thinking. And back to your point, Rebecca, earlier, it's actually being vulnerable and asking for help. So a lot of newer generations can be like, oh, I've been given this role, let me just figure it out as I go along, and start doing a whole bunch of stuff. And if you want to use like the kitchen analogy, having all the pots out in the kitchen, and trying to heat up everything all in different pots, when actually if you strategically heat things up once at a time, you can just use one pot. So it's like trying to be fast, trying to do things, and it's actually just being vulnerable, asking for help. It's not a bad thing. And so I think for new generations coming into, say, the tech industry, use what you've got. So transferable skills, as I would call human skills, are what people, companies really look out for. Technical skills can be learned. And if you show willing, then you are on a far better trajectory than somebody that needs to feel like they need to figure it out all now and then apply for roles. So if, say, for instance, you're managing events, you can take that into the tech world and be like, okay, I'm a project manager, because you know how to manage, you know how to organize. You then might just need to go up a level and start learning agile methodology or add some learnings onto that. But if you're open to it, then so look at your transferable skills and see how that would be best placed in a role.
Thank you. And Semen, did you have anything to jump in to that question?
So actually, new generation, as Harpreet said, they are really quick learners and they are really quick problem solvers.
Yeah.
And they are really used to this remote environment, because we didn't born in a remote environment. We didn't have internet when we are in childhood even, but they know everything. They know how to do advertisements of their selves actually, on social media, on everywhere. So they are much better than us. I am seeing it. So what they can improve, actually focusing, I can say, because they are doing a lot of stuff, but when it comes to focus and finish something, they might have some troubles, as far as I see. So what they need to improve, focusing, I can only say, but they are perfect on all other areas.
Yeah, brilliant point. Thank you. Amazing. Well, thank you so much both for answering our questions in the main part of the session. I've personally taken away a lot of information, so I know our attendees will have as well. So moving into the questions, we've got a couple of questions in the Q&A box. If anyone in the session would like to jump into some questions and send them over, then please do. Now is your chance. I'm going to start with the first question around mentorship. So how do you find a mentor? This attendee has done all workshops possible with She Codes and feeling without support to find the first act, and is trying to find their first junior front-end developer job, but needs a directional support to step into that step or challenge. What advice could you both give for that? We'll start with Harpreet.
Sure. I can help mentor. No, I'm joking. I mean, if you want to reach out, please do reach out. You've got links on post on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to offer advice specific to the individual that posted this question. But I think be specific, write down where you want to go. So it might be specifically a company, or it might be into an area of technology, and then search for mentors within that space. So if it's for a said company, search for a mentor that is that are willing to take on mentees in that company, or just reach out to specific people and ask. I think that's the biggest thing is if I use that example of it being a specific company, reach out to an individual that piques your interest or is the hiring manager. I think a lot of females might think that is it's almost, you kind of got to put yourself out there. And I think, and I know I've suffered it before, is you don't feel like you can apply until you feel 100% ready for the role. But I think if we take a step back, it's, have you done the work for the role? Yes. Are you capable of doing a particular job for that role? Yes. So apply. And I think it's just, don't hold your own imposter syndrome back from yourself.
Yeah, really good point. Thank you. Semen, did you want to jump in to that question and from your perspective?
Yeah. So there are a couple of different ways actually to find a mentor. One of them, your manager, if it is talented, you're lucky and she or he can be the mentor. And I was lucky 2 times, and I had women managers, and they helped me a lot, as I said in the beginning of the conversation. And the second thing, you can ask your university, because in my university, we had this mentorship program. So they collected experienced people from all around the world, which are graduated from my university. And then they also created a community of mentees, and they matched us. And we were doing we were talking bi-weekly to improve their career path. This is also another thing. So you can ask also your university about this, if they can create this kind of community. And you can also join general communities, as we discussed with Harpreet. And there are many different ways like this.
Amazing.
And one thing, you should be bold. If you're a woman, if you're not feeling safe, just be bold and apply to the different jobs, and
exactly,
make as much as recruitment interviews, sorry, not recruitment, interviews. One of my actually hobbies was doing recruitment in my first years of career, actually, and I learned a lot.
Amazing, thank you. So would you say be bold is your main bit of advice? Be bold. Yeah.
Take risks, be bold, and be confident.
Yeah, be confident, take risks, and try.
Yes, you don't
fail
know
and
until
try.
you try.
Yeah, fail and try, fail and try.
Amazing, I really like that. Fail and try, and you'll definitely learn from failing. Amazing.
Exactly.
Now, the next question, we weren't quite sure if the next question was actually a question we could answer, so we've actually dismissed that one. So anybody else that is around to drop in any other questions for us? Otherwise, we will. Oh, yes, we've got a question coming in. I can see somewhere. Oh, no, okay, so that's fine. Okay, so thank you so much, Semen and Harpreet, for joining us today. And thank you, everyone, for jumping into our webinar. And I hope that you found it useful and will take on the expert advice within your careers. Yeah, thank you from me, and thank you from everyone at Source Talks community. jumping in, we've got our next webinar coming up on the 15th of November, and that is around removing bias in recruitment and hiring processes. So it would be absolutely brilliant to see as many people there as possible too. We'll drop out all the information about how to get in touch with and follow our speakers and get in touch with SGI and Source Talks in a follow-up communication. But thank you so much, everyone, and thank you both.
No worries. Thank you very much. And anyone that wants to connect on LinkedIn, please do so.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.